Today's guest is Divya Parekh, and we will discuss how different relationships in various parts of our lives can propel us to success. In this episode, we touch on many of the core beliefs we discuss here on Richer Soul. Welcome to Richer Soul, Life Beyond Money, the last baby step. Check out the website for show notes, richersoul.com. One thing you will not find is a ton of ads. I don't want to distract or entice you. I do have some Amazon affiliate links that are on there, and I do get paid if you click on them. I don't do it for the money, but rather to track and see if people take action, buy books, and read them. I share the most interesting articles that I read this week on Facebook at facebook.com/Richer Soul. Do you wake up excited every morning, ready to face the day? When you look in the mirror, are you proud of the reflection staring back at you? Do you have the energy and health to do what you want? Are you in control of your time? And do you have the time to enjoy life? Did you say thanks to the universe for the fact that you're lucky enough to be in the top 1% of the world for income? Are you surrounding yourself with people who pull you up, or are there toxic people tearing you down? Those are the questions only you can answer. Today we're going to talk about many of these issues. If you haven't listened to episodes 1 through 9, I encourage you to go back and listen to the framework behind Richer Soul and how to create balance in your life. You can also search back and see some of the coaching experiences I made into 7 shows, so you have a good idea of what coaching is like. New for 2018 is the pressure test, the SWOT plan. Strengths, opportunities, weaknesses, and threats within your life. Do you sometimes have that voice in your head that makes you doubt your financial life plan? In business, many people do SWOT plans. It's basically about pressure testing your life and making sure that everything is going the way you want it to go, and removing the obstacles that may come up. You can find out more about it at richersoul.com/SWOT, SWOT. I'd like to do a shout out to the San Francisco and surrounding area. That's where the greatest concentration of our US-based listeners are. And also our largest number of international listeners come from Sweden and Australia. Thank you all for listening, and I would love to hear from you. Have you heard of the FIRE community? Financial independence, retire early. I like the principles, but having to live on so little isn't appealing to me. There's something new that I've been hearing about, Fat FIRE. And I want to be part of the leading edge of this. You retire earlier, but you live a lot larger and you enjoy life. Today's guest is Divya Parekh. She's an award-winning business relationship advisor, international speaker, and #1 best-selling author of over 10 books. Divya has a science-based 9-relationship method that moves leaders to take the right actions for their success. The foundation of Divya's success is that any professional or entrepreneur can achieve their highest goals by building and nurturing relationships. She's helped many people create a thriving business that is joyful and easy to run. Her philosophy when it comes to launching books and careers is that it's all about the hearts and hugs, how much you impact and help people with your life and your work. Let's meet Divya. Welcome to Richer Soul, Divya. It's great to have you join us today.
It's great to be here. Thanks for having me, Rocky. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. So we always start at the beginning. What was it like when you were growing up, and how much did your family and school teach you about money?
What a great question, Rocky. What's interesting is, as far as if you're talking about school, as well as family, money usually doesn't come in the picture a whole lot. However, here's what I'll share is that, I was very fortunate to have a dad who took me by my hand when I was around 5 years old and took me to a bank and had me open up a savings account. And of course, when you're a child, you're not going to be writing a check or anything like that. But he introduced me to the savings account and just talked to me about interest and compound interest, and said that, you get your allowance. And what would be good is if you can save 30% of it and then 10% to charity. And then whatever is left, you can spend on what you want. And also, they taught me the value of giving. So what used to happen is I would save some money in the savings bank, and often what was left from different things, I used to like giving gifts to my family or to my friends. And what was powerful was, because when you're a child and when you're young, you're thinking that's my money, and I've got the gift for my parents from my own money, and the pride and joy I felt out of that was just amazing. And of course, I did buy stuff for myself, especially when you're at school, and candies and chocolate, they have their own lure, and you do end up purchasing those kind of things to have fun and love that chocolate. So, but that's where the beginning of money started, that it was important to use the money, keep the money circulating, keep the money circulating, not hoarding it. And when you circulate it and get the joys and pleasure out of giving it to someone or to helping someone, and also at the same time, spend wisely as well as save wisely, where, you may not be saving a whole lot of amount, but just that thought process of knowing that it's important to put away some money for the rainy day really came in handy throughout my whole life.
It sounds like he gave you the simple basics that we talk about with finances, and then you implemented it and you added to it by also sharing and giving. And I think that's the one thing sometimes people forget, is that giving brings us more joy most of the time than receiving does. So it sounds like he did a great job of instilling that in those lessons into you.
Yes, I'm very fortunate and very thankful for it.
So after that, you've grown up, you've been a successful business person, and you write books and do a lot of other great stuff. I know you have some interesting things to share. One of those that we talked about was you have 9 relationships that help move leaders to take the right actions for their success. Can you share a little bit about that?
Mm-hmm. These are relationships that have born out of my signature programs and a couple of decades of my experience. So to go back a little bit in time, I used to be in the corporate world in biotechnology, running multi-million-dollar projects in so many different levels and different fields, because I wanted to grow my career spirally rather than vertical, because I wanted to have balanced family life as well as work life. And as a result, what ended up happening was I learned a lot. I learned practically every aspect of a business for biopharmaceuticals and biotechnology. And of course, it involves innovation when you're a scientist, engineer, customer liaison, team lead. Rocky, the 9 relationships that we are talking about have originated from life experiences, have originated from my corporate experiences in biopharmaceuticals, research labs, my being an associate professor in the university, as well as from being an entrepreneur, an author, and having the fortune to coach people across 6 continents. And also, the basis of it lies in science-based evidence approaches and strategies, because I come with a background in biochemistry and how the chemistry of emotion plays out, how humans connect with each other, how humans form those relationships. So basically, what emerged was there are 9 relationships that are essential to a leader's success. Now, whether you can be a leader in an organization or you can be the entrepreneur CEO. So the 9 relationships I'll just share with you are, the first is relationship with you. You take you everywhere you go. That's one thing that's constant in your life. So it's really important to have a good, solid, strong, robust relationship with yourself. The second is relationship with time, relationship with money, relationship with people. That falls under three categories. The first one is relationship with your market. And I'm not talking about marketing. I'm talking about relationship with market. How do you give value? How do you build those relationships? Relationship with your team, relationship with your partners. And the remaining three relationships are relationship with results that you get. What do you do with them? Because there are a lot of people who are successful. And to sustain that success, it's important to know what to do with results. And then last but not least are the two, relationship with legacy. I always say, live your legacy. Just don't wait to leave your legacy. And then relationship with death. And you may say, relationship with death. I say death is another certainty in our lives that's going to happen. And that's what we think about. However, there's so many times that our fears will stop us and we will not step into our own success because we are standing in our own way. And when that happens, there is the death of a dream. There's a death of your potential that could come out and help so many other people. So these are just in brief that I have referenced these relationships, and I actually captured them in depth in my book, which is The Entrepreneur's Garden.
And so I think with regards to the last one, I think I've heard that it's called dying from the inside out. You know, you're still alive, but your dreams, your hopes, and all those things have gone away, unfortunately. These are very interesting relationships. Is there one in particular that people struggle with more than the others?
It's what I've found is that it can be varied. I've seen in my experience that some people are good with giving back. They're so open, they're so wonderful, they want to give back. But one of the common things that I've found, that a couple of the relationships that are really prevalent, or three relationships I would say, is actually it's all of them, but one of them is like relationship with money. It's such an underlying factor that so many people who want to give back, they think that making money is bad. And I say that, you deserve a quality life. You deserve the freedom that money brings to you. It is how you take that money and how you spend it. That's where the crux of the matter lies. And unfortunately or fortunately, for every single thing, the choice is yours. The choice rests with you. And the key is, if you decide to hoard the money and not put it to good use, and then become egoistical because of that and become mean to other people, then it's still your choice. And at the same time, you could take that money and you could enjoy your life, have a good quality life. It would bring you the freedom of money because you have money. And as a resulting, you get the freedom to be with your family, freedom of your time, freedom to connect with people that you want to connect with, freedom to serve people that you want to serve, freedom of supporting others, being in that position and saying, yes, I can support you, doing that volunteer work, doing the things that you love to do. So I have found that each and every relationship is very crucial. However, freedom of money and relationship with money is something that quite a few people struggle with.
And I wonder why that is, that we have these, because from what I understand, it occurs at childhood. Somewhere between about 5 and 13, we create these money mindsets. And they can come from parents, society, a variety of different places. Why do you think so many of us have the wrong relationships with money?
So a couple of things that we can cover over here is, one of it is relationship with yourself. And I'm saying this with a grain of salt, We are all work in progress. At least I am, as far as that goes. I will share that every single day. I believe in continuous practice of value-driven principles. Every single day, I believe in continuous learning. And the reason is why I say continuous learning is that because fresh perspectives dawn upon you. They become part of you when you're continuously learning and when you are seeking gratitude. And let's talk about why is that people do not have the right relationship with money. So our brains are designed to suffice, not to optimize. And when I say suffice is, think about it, there's so many things brain will go ahead and automatize. So for example, riding a bike, driving a car, walking, running, opening the door to your house, opening the car door, unlocking the car door. We don't even think twice. How to eat. So brain is designed to suffice. Brain is not designed to optimize. And what happens is that our society has designed money to be an evil. That's one of the things, there's a saying that money is the root of all evil. Not understanding it correctly, because people do lose their way when they have tons of money. And then it also depends on the childhood. What have we been preconditioned when we were young? If we were told that money is a bad thing, then our brains are going to secure that information and put it away in hippocampus, that which you can draw back in the later stages in life and deal accordingly, because brain is creating these neural pathways. So what happens is something around that. Sometimes it's also possible that, you may go through financial struggles. You saw your parents struggle, working long hours, making not enough money, and always budgeting and not having that freedom of money. So I'll share that, with my parents. We did go through some financial hardships at one point in time in our lives. But from what I remember in that is that my parents, rather than talking about, oh my goodness, we don't have money, what are we going to do about it? They sat us down as a family and said, okay, how can we still sustain the lifestyle we had without impacting the important things? It again comes back to values. It comes back to relationship with yourself, relationship with people. When you have your priorities straight, and when the priorities are straight, that okay, family time is important. How can we spend family time? We can play more board games, or we can play more in the backyard, and we can do picnics instead of doing this. So when it's put in that kind of perspective, you do not feel the pinch. Whereas what's happening is money becomes the source of creating freedom. Money does not become the end and means to everything. And when that happens, then the relationship goes wrong.
And I always feel overcoming ourselves. So as you talk about the relationships with you, it is one of the most difficult things, I think, for people to overcome. It's all those fears and all those, the negative thoughts that run through our mind. Do you have advice for how we overcome ourselves and move forward?
Beautiful question. So yes, we can stand in our own way, and that happens to the best of us. So the first step is allowing yourself to dream. It's so important to dream, because dream is the passion that lights, that fires the fuel that goes through the engine of your car. And that's why I say that the first thing to do is know your why. What is it that makes you wake up in the morning? What is it that fires you up? What is it that tells you that, oh my goodness, it's 11 p.m. at night? I'm still ready to go because I'm doing what I love, and I'll share a story. I love sharing stories. While I used to coach across 6 continents, and you can imagine there's, having one time is so hard because people have different timings. And one time I used to do calls around 10 sometimes, and then so it would work for the Asian continents and continents who are like, 10, 11 hours ahead of us. And then I would do one call that would be in Europe. So before I started doing 2 calls, initially I would do the call around like 9 or 10 p.m. at night. And by the time you are done with the call for hour and a half, you're exhausted, you're tired, and one, I was just not in a good place. I'm sitting there, I have to do this at night to accommodate everyone. What about me? And of course, once you get on that thought process, it's cluttering your mind and it's taking up all those spots that you're not able to see. So then I get on the call and I hear this beautiful voice. The best part of coaching people across 6 continents was we all had accents for each other. We all had cultural differences. We were just a melting pot. And this gal, Constantina, said to me, I am so happy to be on your call, Divya. And all of a sudden, this jolt of electricity runs through me, and I'm like, oh my goodness, here I am, almost in a funk. And here's somebody who is sharing excitement to be on my call. And I told her, Constantina, thank you for sharing that with me. And we would kind of go around the table and ask people, what country are you from? What's your one win from the week? And we would just kind of have a get to know questions and answers for 2 minutes each for the participants. And she said that she had put an alarm for 3 a.m. in the morning. She was in Greece. And at that time, Europe is 5 hours ahead of US Eastern Time, and she had put an alarm to be on my call. And I sat there and I cried because here I was just 5 minutes before being in a funk. And then when she said that to me, when she told me and shared her feelings, I was like, this is why I do what I do. So having that why you're doing what you're doing allows you, empowers you, enables you to combat the what and the how. The what and the how, no matter how difficult are, you can handle them. You can face them with equanimity if you know your why. So one of the first things I would share, Rocky, is that know your why. What is your passion? Do what you love what you do. And then, of course, having your values. When you have values act like your compass in life, what happens is it makes the decisions easier. So many times people will not make decisions thinking, I don't want to step out of my comfort zone. I'm not going to take the decision. There's risk associated with it. But people forget that not making a decision is a decision too. So it's important to have values that will help you drive those decisions. And then those decisions will help you realize your dreams.
And I agree with everything that you've said. It was at Tony Robbins earlier this year. One of the things Tony does is talk about how you have the ability to change your state in an instant. And in that phone call, in an instant, you changed your state from being down to being grateful. And that is within our power to make those types of choices, and we can do it ourselves in an instant. I talk very much like you do about knowing your purpose so that you can be clear. I like how you brought in that you should also have your core values as well. What are the things that I believe in that I want to make sure I live my life to. I find in talking to people, though, I don't know that a lot of people have their purpose written down. And while they kind of have some of their core values and they kind of know certain things, I don't know that they have it written down in such a way that when you have to make a decision, you can look at these things and say, how does this fit with my purpose? How does this fit with my core values? And then at that point, it becomes very difficult to make a decision. What have you found, and how have you helped people to get clarity on their core values and purpose?
What a great point. You're absolutely right on, Rocky, that we may not be clear, and clarity is the key. It's almost like driving a car, right? Let's say if you're driving at night, it's winter time, and then your front mirror fogs up. We'll just take the analogy of the car. The front mirror fogs up and it's so hard to drive, even though you know where you're going. So forget about when you don't know where you're going, and on top of that, you're lost and you have fog clouding up your car. You can end up in a car accident or go on another route. So that's one of the reasons. And another reason is that, think about, when we are driving the car, yes, we look back in the rear view mirror, we look on the side view mirrors, but our focus is directly on the front. So how we can do, so what I have found with my clients and in my experience is that the first thing is to know where you are at before we do anything. And coming from science background, I've got a lot of science-based assessments. And sometimes what happens is that, people may spend months together for figuring out where they're at, what is it that drives them, what are the hidden motivators that take them to success, what are the hidden motivators that compel them to sabotage their own lives. So having these assessments really helps. It cuts short the time by months, where we take the assessments, we figure out where we are at, and once you know where you are at, then you know that, okay, this is my baseline. Because once you have a baseline, it's so much easier to measure your progress. And that's one of the things I always recommend to people, that have some measurement in your personal life, have some measurement in relationships, have some measurement in your entrepreneurship. So important. So after figuring that out, we figure out where do they want to go. And how do we get to that part it would be a very long answer. But what we do is we put in few things I'll share. One is mindfulness, being present in the moment. That's one of the key things. And there is a philosophy that I've come up with, which is called Now Power. And it's a science-based program where what it does is it focuses on the 9 relationships and it walks them through how to stay focused, how to be clear. And we go through several different exercises and questions. What is it that drives your passion? So, for example, a couple of questions to ask is, what would you like to do in 25 years of your time? What would you like to do in 15 years and 10 years? And let's say if money were taken away from you, you were not making money from this thing, would it still give you joy and pleasure? So that's where, when you demarcate, when you create that distinction between what you really would do, regardless of whether you're making tons of money or not, that will definitely tell you a little bit of insight in your purpose. And then, of course, we map out the values, we map out where you want to go, and then we create the path, how to go. And the best part is that I support my clients with neuroscience-based techniques. So the pressure is off you completely. We just look at our brains, we look at our neurochemistry, we look at our biochemistry, and we design our plan of action such that we put things into place to be successful. And however, no matter how much designing is done, but I always say whether you're interested or invested. If you're invested, you'll do what it takes to do. So that, of course, is the biggest part. That investment in yourself has to be there.
Absolutely. And we talk about many of the same things. And it sounds like, and I agree with that, this process doesn't happen overnight. You have to take the time, create the space to sit down and figure it all out. From a money standpoint, we suggest everyone, in order to know where you are, is to create the balance sheet. And then from a spending standpoint, know where your cash is flowing and understand if it's going where you want it to be. Taking it a step further with your life is understand, where are you at in life? What are your skills? What do you want out of life? What are your core values? And then what is it that you enjoy doing? And then once you know what you want, it's amazing how quickly the universe opens up once you tell it where you're going, to provide the tools and the help to be able to achieve your goals. But if you don't take the time to sit down and answer for yourself and have that relationship with yourself to say, this is what I want, this is where I'm going, this is the direction, and these are the things that I need to get there, you end up, I think, spinning in circles. And that's probably why most people get stuck, is because they don't take the time to map this all out, to think it out, and give themselves the space of getting out of the fast-paced daily life to just sit and think and figure it all out. And having a coach to help you is also tremendous help as well. Have you had some good experiences with coaches yourself?
Oh, yes. So this goes back initially when I was taking my coaching certification. So two things I want to add. First of all, I would like to acknowledge you when you said, Rocky, that it's not an overnight process. It's just like going to school. I'm not saying it's going to take you 12 years to graduate from high school or take 5 years to graduate from undergrad, but it's a process. It's not going to happen overnight, just like you learn the skill sets. And it took you time to get that education and upgrade your skills. Similarly, to upgrade your mindset, you have to be invested in time and effort. And talking about coaches, so while I was taking classes for my coaching certification, it was almost 1.5 years program. I would say almost like 16 months to 2 years program. And you could do it at your pace and take some classes, but the requirements were stringent that, you have to finish this, you have to demonstrate these competencies before you get the coaching experience. And one of the classes, we were just having conversation, and one of my teachers said such a profound thing. We were telling her, oh, Angela, you are amazing. And all the students were just singing her praises, acknowledging her, recognizing her. And then one person asked that, how do you stay sharp? And Angela said that, I have a coach for myself, because you need to look over your shoulder to overcome your blind spots, because everyone has blind spots. And that philosophy just resonated with me so much that after I moved out from college, my ICA for International Coaching Certification School, I've had 2 coaches every year since then.
And they help you move forward. And, that's one of the big things is dealing with our blind spots. The elephant in the room. Sometimes everyone else sees it but ourselves. And having people that can help you focus and achieve your goals and remove the obstacles is a big help. I know you've written some books, and I always talk about the value of books. I mean, most books today are under $20, and you can get a lifetime of wisdom, learn from others' mistakes, and just amazing information for a cost of next to nothing except mostly your time to read. What's your opinion and the value of books?
Great question. I love books. And I'll share with you that to me, after writing almost 11 books and another one is on the way, every single book I write, it's like peeling onions. It's growing. Not only you grow as a person, because you know that you're going to leave a piece of your soul for the rest of the world to see who can criticize. But the beauty of it is, if you look at it from a different perspective, that it still belongs to you. It is a piece of your soul that's totally, entirely yours. And yet at the same time, it's something universal that you share with. It belongs to everyone. And that connection with the reader, especially when you come from a place of leadership and when you come from a place of giving value, it just makes that relationship so beautiful. To me, it is like birthing a child. It is so important to me and it's so close to me. Now, that is from an author's perspective because I'm growing now. Let's take a look from the reader's perspective. When you know your reader and when you are writing something that will solve the problem, what you'll find is that you'll connect with the readers. I cannot tell you how many times I have received beautiful emails from readers who have read my book that it just touches my heart. And there was actually last year when my book came out, The Entrepreneur's Garden came out, it was probably sometime in January. It was really, really cold and something was going on. I do not recall correctly, like something had happened and I was feeling not in the best of places. And I was questioning whether being an entrepreneur, I know my why, I know everything, whether what I was doing was right. It was about one of the joint ventures I had undertaken and something had not panned out as expected. And then what happened was, here I was sitting there and I open up my Facebook and I see that one of the readers had direct messaged me and said that when I read your book, The Entrepreneur's Garden, it was like somebody stepped out of the book and gave me the permission to be myself. And I sat there and I cried. I just let my emotions be and I was, wow, I've impacted so tremendously. So these are the moments. Book is something that you leave a legacy behind and you're also living it. So that is from reader's perspective. Now let's take a look at it from personal perspective and professional perspective. From personally, what happens is you grow because now you want to put out the idea. Writing a blog also helps you grow. But when you write a book, you're writing about a topic and now you're going in the depth of it. And when the book is written right, you grow so much that anybody could wake you up in the middle of night and say, hey, let's talk about the topic of your book. And you'll find that you can stand in front of 500 people and go speak about it. Or even if you don't want to speak about it, but if you're sitting there, if somebody's talking to you, the wealth of knowledge just pours out of you. So that is from the professional purposes. You are immediately positioned as an authority in your industry. Because so first of all, I'll share another story, is I met somebody in one of the networking meetings and I usually take a stack of my books when I'm sitting there. And usually people are curious, people who don't know me, what's the book about? And it's a really good conversation starter and people remember you. And this one gentleman is sitting next to me and just kept on looking at me and said, I've never met a number one best-selling author in my life before. And he was so excited that I became excited. I'm like, oh, really? Because I never think of being an author as something huge. And that brought me to my mind is that, yes, all of us meet doctors, right? Rocky, I'm sure you have met several doctors in your life.
I have.
But if you think about it, how many times do you end up meeting a number one best-selling author? Not that many times, right?
For most people, I would agree. That is probably very true.
So now that said, professionally, it sets you apart from the rest of the crowd, especially when today's world, when you have to be at cutting edge, when you have to be right on the cutting edge, not only of the technology, but for branding, but for business. So that's what it does for you in terms of branding. Now let's take a look at the business perspective. From business perspective, the book can become the platform to grow your business, to sustain your success, if it is written with the business focus. And ultimately, it becomes the best marketing tool because when you give somebody a book, it will go, you are going with them to their homes. Whereas if you go give them a business card, yes, some people may add you who are very organized, who may have apps, but so many times it happens is that people forget. Whereas a book will be sitting on the coffee table or somewhere, and especially if they're interested in something related to them, they'll read it. And sometimes they may even pass it on to their friends and family. And then when the reader has connected with you in terms of business, they've bought a book, they already trust you. You do not have to sell it to them. You have created that proven track record with them. And after that, doing business with them becomes more of a relationship. It becomes the process of giving and supporting your readers rather than selling or doing anything else. That's why I say that it's one of the best marketing tools in the world.
And I agree with you on that. It is a great marketing tool, and it's also a great way for people to learn. My goal is 2 books a month, and I'm pretty much on track for this year to complete 24 books. And the value that I get from it is tremendous. And I actually connect with a lot of the people who write the books. So that's even more fun, as I can get the next level of knowledge even deeper by writing back to the authors of the books who, and just telling them how the book helped me and how impactful it was, and getting my questions answered. So it is a wonderful way for people to begin conversations as well.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you today. We've had a wonderful time talking about relationships and all of the different types of relationships and how mastering them can give you the life of your dreams and desires. Is there anything else you'd like to add before we close out today?
One thing I would like to share is think about it. Your experiences, your story are unique. Nobody else can be you. Do not underestimate the power that you have within you. So unleash that potential and follow your dreams. Invest in yourself.
That is a wonderful piece of advice. And I think that goes for everyone. Everyone has a story, and you've got to learn to own it and to tell it and to take charge of your life and yourself and live life on your terms. If people would like to reach out and connect with you, what's the best way for them to find you?
People can find me at my website, www.divyaparekh.com, and it is spelled out as D as in David, I, V as in Victor, Y as in yellow, A as in apple, P as in Paul, A as in apple, R as in Robert, E as in Edward, K as in Kevin, H as in Harry.com. And if you want to email me, my email address is contact@divyaparekh.com. And you can also connect with me on Facebook, Twitter. My Twitter handle is Coach Divya. My Facebook, if you Google me up as Beyond Confidence for Success, you'll find my Facebook page. I'm also on LinkedIn under my name. Feel free to reach out to me, and I'd be delighted to support you in any way I can.
And I will put those all in the show notes to make it easy for people to find you. And in closing, I'll just say to people, she's giving you an invitation to reach out and connect. You have the ability to learn and to grow yourself. And if Divya can help you, you should do that. So thank you for joining us today.
Oh, thank you for having me. And Rocky, if I have your permission, also love to share a free gift with your listeners.
Absolutely. We love free gifts.
So it is http:// success.divyaparekh.com/goals. And you asked me about clarity and knowing where do you want to go and how to create that path. So there is a full ebook. It's a small ebook that will help you design your goals for life.
Oh, thank you for sharing that. And I think if you don't have your goals set, this is one more resource that you have to help figure that out and make sure that you get them written down, because once you do, life becomes easy.
Thank you so much for having me on your show. It was an honor to be on your show, and I appreciate what you're doing for your listeners.
You're most welcome. Thank you for joining us today. I encourage you to check out Divya's site, www.divyaparekh.com, and take her up on her free offer to help you get clarity on your goals at success.divyaparekh.com/goals. Links can be found in the show notes. Divya and I are on the same page about creating the life you deserve and having a coach to help you get what you want in life. You are unique in what you have to offer the world, so don't be afraid to share that unique message. There are so many different types of relationships in life, and we need to have control of ourselves and our thoughts in these various areas if we want to achieve success. What's preventing you from moving forward, and who are you putting on your team to help build the life you deserve? Would you like someone to help you take the action you want? I'm here to help you build the life you desire. Today's action step is look into your relationships and see which areas could use improvement, and then celebrate the areas that you're doing well in. Is there someone you know who could benefit from what we talked about today? Please share, as it helps to build relationships and start better conversations with the people you know, and they will appreciate you for it. Thanks for listening. You can always contact me at rocky@richersoul.com. Have an abundant week.